You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, WrestleBoss with Bobby Chulo.
Gotta love that Denise Salcedo. For the people listening to us, you're here. You're at WrestleBoss live with Fabi Chulo. Make sure you check us out every Tuesday from 7 to 8:30. Got a slamming show today, but on the line with us right now, going to hang out with me once again, Nicolette Marie. Nicolette Marie, how are you?
Hey, Fabi, I'm doing well. Last time, unfortunately, I was muted in the beginning. I want to say congratulations on your show, and I love the opening as well. I've been doing great, just super busy. I know you've known what I've been doing these past 3 days, and we can talk about it a little bit later, but I'm awesome, and thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely, but what you've been most busy with is the merchandise. I mean, been punching out buttons and shirts and all kinds of stuff. You know, unfortunately, we had a big show scheduled for last weekend, Saturday. But since this coronavirus hit, we weren't able to do it because you were going to be teaming with High Risk against Julio Rodriguez. Yeah, and that's been pushed back to, they're hoping the end of August for United Wrestling Council, but now we have no idea when that's going to be because of this stupid COVID virus starting up all over again. They closed the gyms down and all that, so that sucks. But we'll get through it. But anyways, great show coming up. I got Lucha. I was going to say Lucha Homies because I was watching that video that you posted. But Lil Cholo's coming on, who I've known for probably, I would say close to 20 years. I mean, back in the WPW days when I was working for Martin Marin, and Lil Cholo was just a little Cholo. Now he's a grown Cholo. And we just used to have so much fun. And it's funny because when I get him on the air, I got to tell him because we were in South Central LA doing the show, and some Cholos were out there. They see Little Cholo and they go, "Hey, where you from?" or whatever. He goes, "Newport Beach." Like, what? Because we'll delve a little more on that because Martin used to have a huge house in Newport Beach with two big Rottweilers, and we used to go over there after the matches and eat. And man, they would make full blown dinners. I mean, like pot roast and potatoes and vegetables. I mean, it was awesome. Didn't get paid much, but hey, we got taken care of very well. So got him coming up in about 10 minutes. I'm going to talk to him about that, talk to him a little bit about working for DJ Vols. He had a good match out there. And also Nicolette Marie, when I saw that you posted from last year's Lucha Expo, I talk a lot about good dance partners. And when I saw that they were going to be wrestling Phoenix Star and Zokari, I said, man, that's going to be a match because those guys can go. And I'm not putting any other matches down. I'm not just because he's coming on the air with us, but I was going to say that was probably the best match of the expo because it was high flying, it was hard hitting, and I talk a lot about dance partners. When you put them up against those guys, that match was pretty slamming. Do you remember that at all, Nicolette Marie?
I think that match for Lucha Expo was the definition of lucha. That was not American. That was not rookies. That was lucha for sure.
Yeah, a lot of high flying, a lot of moves, and they started off with a little hold to hold and worked it really well. And it's weird because a lot of people put up Phoenix Star and Zokari because the training at Santino Brothers has slowed down. They do Tuesday nights. They train the luchas over there, and everybody was saying, well, I wonder why those guys never got signed. And I thought about that too. I could easily see them working like in PWG and then getting noticed and maybe going out to Japan or something like that. Or even, I talked to Phoenix Star and I don't know if he actually even wanted to go to Mexico to go work out there. He was a little more content out here. I'm pretty sure they want to go to Japan. But maybe we can get them on here and talk a little bit about that. I think they would fit perfectly into like an AEW. I mean, if they put them up against the Lucha Brothers, I think that would bring the house down. What do you think?
Oh, I could totally agree with that, yes.
Yeah, so Cody Rhodes, Young Bucks, bring in the Lucha Brothers. Bring them in for a one shot if you like them. Or I'll tell you what, on AEW Dark, if you don't want to spend the money, send them over there to the Young Bucks house, put them up against High Risk, and I think from that match alone, that'll put them on the map, and they'll say, you know what, let's bring them down. So I want to talk a little bit more about that too, about AEW, which is coming up tomorrow. But at about the 45-minute mark, we got to get our MMA fix. Chris Brown will be coming up. I know him personally from back when I was doing the announcing for King of the Cage, and he worked at the airport in Albuquerque for Southwest Airlines. So I used to travel a lot with the cameraman. We used to have to take all the camera equipment, and sometimes they'd have a brand new tarp for King of the Cage, so I'd have to rent a 12-passenger van, and we'd have to leave sometimes 3, 4 o'clock in the morning to get that stuff on the plane by 6 o'clock in the morning. So he was
sometimes didn't you have to drive in the snow, Fabi?
That was when in Minneapolis when I had to go. I'm gonna have to get some of those guys on this show so we can talk about that, because I'm from California, man. That first time I got caught in that snowstorm, I had Cecil Peoples, who was probably getting close to 70, and he had the heater on full blast, so I was dying. And I had Antonio McKee, Jesse Juarez, and a couple of the cameramen with me. We were driving. It was about a 2-hour drive from the Indian reservation to the airport in Minneapolis, and I was scared to death. I didn't think we were going to make it. And then if your plane gets snowed in, that's it. You're stuck at the airport.
Right.
But luckily, we made it out of there. So we'll talk about that. And we'll talk to Chris Brown about his fight at King of the Cage, when they actually told me to tell John Jones to put his camera away, which I don't know what made them think I was going to be able to stop him. And then we'll talk to him about.
Was this John Bones Jones?
This is John Bones Jones, and he's sitting with Diego Sanchez and somebody else. I can't. I'll save that story for when he comes on, because he was fighting that. He was fighting on the King of the Cage card that I was announcing over there. So we'll talk all about that when he gets on, because it was rather interesting. But so he's coming up at the 45-minute mark, and then we got Lil Cholo coming up at 7:15. But I wanted to talk to you, Nicolette Marie, about AEW, because for the people listening to us, I really liked NXT when it first started. I mean, I thought dudes like Adam Cole and guys like that. And then when they brought El Hijo de Fantasma into the mix, I'm like, dude, Garza was there. I was like, now they're showing some stuff. And it just kind of fizzled out, man. I mean, I don't know if it's because there's no crowd or whatever to hype them up, but it's just really hard to watch. So of course,
you know what I thought was really good that was on the WWE Network was when they did Breaking Ground, and that showed them like going to developmental, and you could see that people like Apollo Crews was so like hungry for it. And he was in it, and I think Bailey, they showed them at the time, and they showed them like carrying in like the ring and putting together the ring.
Exactly,
and
which is the way
really
it should
cool,
be.
Like that behind the scenes, yeah. And I think that like developmental part right there, like the before, was so cool to watch and to see. I agree with that too. Before they got to like the big time, the pyro and everything at the performance.
And Bailey, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte Flair, they were putting on 5-star matches. I mean, they were. I don't know if you lose a little bit of that hunger once you make it to the big show. I don't know if they have specific incentives that they could give them, which they should, to make more money. They should just say, hey, here's a contract for X amount of dollars. There's really no incentive. I mean, it should be like if your merchandise sells this much, or they can gauge your popularity, and, people are paying to see you. But I think you just get a contract that gives you X amount of money, and that's it. So it's like, well, if I do well, who cares? I'm not getting paid or whatever. But I mean, I don't know if they lose a little bit of that hunger, or when they get to the big show, it changes, and I had a big rant on a different show about Randy Orton, because I got to be honest, man, I didn't like the fact that they used him like he's so great, and he throttles Garza and tells him, you better get yourself together. And I thought, man, they don't need that. They don't need Randy Orton to throttle Garza and to tell Andrade he needs to pick up the pace or whatever. Those guys have more talent than Randy Orton will ever have, ever. And shame on. Go ahead.
Too, Fabi, how you're saying that at one point you kind of like lose like that hunger for it, to not work so hard for it. It seems to me too like Randy Orton has that platform that like he's kind of like one of the faces of WWE. Like you go to Party City and it's Randy Orton, John Cena, and sometimes Rey Mysterio, and it's like that's what's always out on all the merchandise. Like they're the WWE face, so it's like maybe he probably has that attitude like, well, I'm always gonna sell, so I'll just do whatever.
I'm the man. Yeah, something, but it just and especially with the times that we're living in now, I don't like it. I don't think that they need to write something in that where Randy Orton's going to come and save the day for everybody. You put Garza and Andrade against Apollo Crews and Ricochet, and they will tear that house down. Or you put a 6-man, you put or put an 8-man with Andrade, Garza. ¿Cómo se llama the guys that are on SmackDown, Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado?
Oh, yes. Lucha House Party, right?
Dude, against Apollo Crews, Ricochet, and those other, I can't remember the other Morenitos' name. Those guys will bring the house down. I don't know why they don't make some matchups like that, or even Nakamura, because he can go Lucha. They can put matches that would especially now that they don't have an audience or a crowd, they could put on some matches that would really bring the house down or whatever. I just don't think that's the ticket for Randy Orton to be the big, go-to guy that, he's going to make sure that they get it together or whatever. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. So, and if that's what they have to do, they think that that's what they have to do to get over, I mean, that's on them. I think they have enough talent. If they would mix it right, it would be fine. But even when the Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado wrestled the New Day, I mean, and I talk about good dance partners all the time, they put on a show. I mean, even though it was the New Day, I think they had to up their game. And even, real quick, because we got to get to Lil Cholo, I want to talk about that a little bit later too. Even I think Orange Cassidy, when he wrestled Chris Jericho, he kind of made, not that, Orange Cassidy is this great guy or whatever, but he kind of seemed like he made Chris Jericho up his game. Like he had to really be on point because Orange Cassidy was hitting him with some moves, and Chris Jericho had to be there. I thought that match was the best match of that so-called pay-per-view or whatever that they were having. Yeah, Fighter Fest. I thought that match.
Bobby, going back to the New Day, I mean, to me, they got over with throwing pancakes out to the audience. They didn't have to get over with curse words or with going through tables or barbed wire. That was something so simple and so it attracted everybody, young kids, people my age. I saw men out there wearing their T-shirts. It was just something so simple to get over with the crowd.
Well, let me tell you something. When we went to that house show, and it was right when they had signed AJ Styles, and he made a surprise appearance. We were there. It was just a house show, so you have quite a few people or whatever. But when they hit they didn't know he was going to be there. They hit his music. Man, I have never heard a crowd pop that big for just that little organ at the beginning. And people just went nuts. I was like, wow, this guy. And it seems like even him, he's kind of even fizzled out a little bit or whatever. It's just like, man, I don't know what it is. It could be too, God bless them. They're trying with this audience and not having, no crowd or whatever. I think with the talent they have, they could do it. But it's just, and Orange Cassidy against Chris Jericho to me was one that was, surprised me. I mean, Orange Cassidy really, it seems like he kind of made Chris Jericho up his game, which made for a good match. So I think that's the key. You put you would never expect to see Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik against Cesaro and Nakamura, and those are four good workers. I mean, I would. Right. It's like when we had Joseph on the show, Joseph from PCW. I mentioned, I said, man, I would like to see War Beast against somebody like Damien and Bestia, and he booked it. And I was like, you know what?
Right, yes.
I'm going to pay money to see that just for the interest fact or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a straight brawl, but it was very interesting. It's just an interesting matchup that people will want to see. So, anyways, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I got Lil Cholo coming up just in a few minutes, but before we get to all that, and get to talking about Lil Cholo and talking about Lucha Expo and all that, Denise Salcido always has all the updates and everything on Lucha Central. So let's see what she's got, and we'll be right back with Lil Cholo.
Hey everyone, it's Denise Salcedo here in Lucha Central with a look at all of the great shows available this week on the Lucha Central Podcast Network. Monday, it's a brand new mask cast with Dos Hermanos Lucha. The brothers are back with their latest advice on how to build the ultimate Lucha Libre mask collection, including what Facebook groups can really help you up your game. Tuesday, it's Mass, Mats, and Mayhem, the show that brings you back into and behind the scenes of Lucha Underground. This week on the show, more behind-the-scenes secrets are revealed from two of the show's Day One luchadores. Plus, the gang discusses the current success of former Lucha Underground stars Karrion Kross and El Hijo del Fantasma, and takes a look back at Season 1, Episode 6. Plus, this Friday, look for a bonus episode of the MMM show focused on Pride Month, including a special interview with former Lucha Underground and current AEW star Sonny Kiss. Also on Tuesday, brand new series Wrestle Boss with Fabi Chulo debuts on its regular night with a live call-in show covering pro wrestling and MMA from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific. Then, each Wednesday, the show will be available for download on podcast platforms. The first episode is up now and features interviews with former CMLL, Ring of Honor, and Lucha Underground star Ricky Reyes, Bellator fighter Rick Hahn, and Combate America SVP Mike Aframowitz. This week's guests will include former XPW and Wrestling Society X star and current owner and operator of the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy, Joey Chaos. With SPW graduates in nearly every major promotion at this point, there is a lot to talk about. Don't miss WrestleBoss Live on Tuesday night and in podcast format on Wednesday. We've also got more live recordings for you on Wednesday as Spanish series La Mesa de los Márgaros brings you their unique style of news and comedy along with special guests. Watch as they record their episode on Facebook Live and then download the episode Thursdays. Also on Thursday, it's Straight Out of the Bodega with Papo Esco with special guests PWR Training Academy graduate and AEW star Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Papo and Gabe talk with Jack about his training at the Academy, his time in the NorCal indie scene, and his signing with AEW. On Friday, we've got the number one Lucha Libre show on the U.S. charts, Lucha Central Weekly, and the number one show wrestling-related, period, on the Mexico iTunes wrestling charts, Lucha Central Weekly en Español. With Lucha Libre slowly returning to Mexico and shows this past weekend from both DTU and IWRG, plus luchadores all over WWE programming these days, we've got 2 packed shows for you. Be sure to subscribe and follow all of your favorite Lucha Central Network series on your favorite podcast platforms. And please be sure to give a rating and review to help more fans find the shows that you love. For now, this is Denise Salcedo signing off from Lucha Central Central. Have a great week.
That's what I'm talking about, all those Lucha Central shows. As you heard, Nicolette Marie, Lucha Central en Español, number one Lucha Libre-related talk show going on right now. So props to them for doing it. But, hey, the luchas are so hot, especially right now with this COVID and everything, it's kind of hard to talk about what's going on or what the future, because we don't know what the future is.
Right.
So props to them. But let's get Lil Cholo on the line right here so we can talk a little bit about. It's funny because so many people want to know about Lucha Underground, what's happening with that, but it's
Me
just
too.
I don't think they're gonna come back, man. I think that's it.
Okay, we'll find out right now.
Yeah. Hey, Cholito, can you hear me? Can you hear him, Nicolette Marie? It sounds like somebody sawing wood back there.
Or maybe he's sharpening a pencil.
Can you hear me? I see him right here. Hold on, let's try him again. Hold on a second here. It sounded like he was in the middle of working for, what's it called? SoCal Edison. Hey, Cholito, Fabiano, can you...
Oh, still ringing. Oh, maybe you call this back, Fabi.
That's the number he gave me. Hold on. This is what we're gonna do. Okay, which is good because this will help, and then everybody can get the number also. So I'm gonna hit this. Hold on a second. I'm gonna give him the call-in number. So I'm going to put here call-in number.
Okay.
No, and he just texted me too. Hey, do you need me to call you? So maybe he knows something we don't. So it's 323, and it's 870-3387. 3387. Okay, so I'm going to send him that number. Jim Stranger, a local wrestler from over here, was asking me for the number. So hopefully if you're listening, you can check it out. It's 323-870-3387 if you want to call in and find out what's happening with Lil Cholo or talk a little bit about what we were kind of expanding on in that first part. Anyways, but hopefully he'll call in right now. If he doesn't call in, I want to talk a little bit more about AEW because I'm kind of, usually Nicolette Marie, I'm looking forward to AEW, NXT, especially on Wednesday. But now they have a little bit of competition because the UFC, since they're on Fight Island, is trying to do as many shows as possible since they paid so much money for this fight island. So they're going to have a Wednesday show, which is going to be slamming.
I did not know that.
So not only do you have UFC tomorrow night, you have AEW, and then you also have NXT. I forgive me because I don't know the lineup, but one of the matches that I'm looking forward to the most is Cody Rhodes versus what's the person's name actually that escapes me right now?
Oh, this is it's not Sony Kiss. Is it Exolicious or is it Sony Kiss? Sony Kiss. Okay.
I think he wrestles as Sony Kiss out there. Now, for the people listeners, I know you've seen vignettes or little bits and pieces of Sony Kiss on AEW, but let me tell you, man, he can work. I mean, I wrestled a show in EWF, and I was all messed up. I was like 2-3 weeks away from hip surgery, and I went to go out there to wrestle against Guyam, and I saw Sony Kiss, and I was like, wow, this is an exotico to the extreme. But then, man, put on a show over there, and I was like, honestly, when we were in the back, I was like, you know what, you got something here. Hold on a second. Little Cholo's calling my cell phone instead of the.
So I'll tell everybody a really quick story about Cholo, if that's okay, Fabi.
Go for it. Give me a chance to text him.
Okay, perfect. When Fabi and I went to the first Lucha Expo, which was in Las Vegas, I read on, I believe it was Mariachi's Instagram. Mariachi said, I'm going to be there. He gave the time. He said, stop by my stand, and if you purchase a T-shirt, you can take it to Peter Bregan, and he will draw up a wrestling emoji of you. At the time, Peter Bregan was doing emojis of Marty the Moth, Johnny Mundo, all these people, right? So Fabi and I left at like 7 in the morning. We split the drive, got there. We were late a little bit. And I ran up to Mariachi's stand, and I was like, hey, I'm here to purchase a T-shirt. And then Cholo was like, Fabi, how did you raise her? She's not buying any of my merch. And I was like, no, but I wanted to buy his because he was giving like something free with it, So, Fabi, at the end of the show, make sure you buy me a Cholo shirt, okay?
Absolutely. He was I don't want to say it was it Strong Style that he was with?
No. Cholo was sponsored by, I believe, Slick and Nasty Clothing.
Yeah, but I think back then it was Strong Style, and then now he moved over to Slick and Nasty.
Oh, I think you might be right.
Whatever that is. But anyways, he did have, okay, first of all, he had some merch, but I have never seen more merch than on the last Lucha Expo with Bobby Lee. It's funny because Fletch Fugaz knows Bobby Lee or whatever, so he told me, he said, hey, when you see Bobby Lee, hey, Cholo, can you hear me? You know what? That's got to be his phone because he called in, and now we still got the electricity on there.
Can you hear me now?
Hey,
no.
Yeah. Can you? Were you working for SoCal Edison?
No. I have my earpiece on, but I guess you can't hear me. Hold on a second.
Now I hear you. We hear you perfect now.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better. Real quick for the people listeners, you're here. You're at WrestleBoss Live with Fabi Chulo. Got Nicolette Marie on the line, and now on the line with us, somebody we've been trying to get on for quite a while. But even through this whole COVID-19 and whatever, he's still been super busy. Little Cholo. Little Cholo, how are you, my friend?
Hey, what up, man? How are you?
It's funny because we're just talking about the Lucha Expo, and we're talking about you at the Lucha Expo. So there's a ton of stuff I want to talk to you about. But real quick, before we get into that, we were talking in the opening, Nicolette Marie and I, about back in the day when we were wrestling for Martin and we were wrestling for WPW. And, I mean, you were probably, I'm going to say 16 by now, and we were doing a show out in South Central L.A., and these cholos come up and they go, they see you and they go, hey, what's up, man? You go, what's up? And they go, where are you from? And you go, Newport Beach. And they go, what? and we were laughing because that's where Martin, where you guys all lived, and it was Newport Beach. But we were talking a little bit about how, back then, that's why we had so much fun, because we would wrestle, but then we would go back to Martin's house and they would make food, like full-blown meals with pot roast and all kinds of stuff. And I was saying we didn't make much money, but we always got taken care of,
Yeah, you know what? I kind of remember that date, but it was actually, they had asked where it was from. I said Orange County. I never lived in Huntington Beach. Martin never did, but he was in Costa Mesa with myself.
Yeah.
But I do remember those times, and they were pretty dope.
But that big house that he had with the two big Rottweilers, that was Huntington Beach, Yeah, that's
that's
what
Costa
I'm
Mesa.
talking. It wasn't. Well, it must have been borderline. I don't know. I was just driving forever on the 405, but I just remember that place. But like we said, I think that's why Little Cholo became such a good wrestler, because it was like from the beginning. I mean, he was always with us, always working, always training. We all hung out together. We all ate together, traveled together, and it's just that's what made it blossom into what you are today. So I got to tell you, man, once, I try to advertise it as soon as possible so that people know when you're coming on. And then I just start getting inundated with emails and messages and all that. But for some reason, the people don't want to let the Lucha Underground go. Maybe because I had Ricky Reyes on and Ricky Mandel, but they kept saying it sucks that they didn't do it last season because they wanted closure with the show. Now, to me, you can expand on that, but I'm going to tell you, just strictly for me, what I thought was the best was when you guys started wearing the suits and came out with Blue Demon. For some reason, I liked that. I thought that was cool, and I thought that worked. First of all, who came up with that idea? And then tell me what kind of made that fade out into the other gimmicks.
Well, that was kind of like just a little special event thing as far as with the suits, because we were only going to be with Blue Demon a few episodes, and it only lasted really 2. So, it was just like a little special event thing going into Ultima Lucha. So, that was like our quote-unquote WrestleMania in Lucha Underground. So that was how that came up. But, that whole scenario was pretty cool because, getting able to work with Blue Demon was pretty cool. I don't get to work with him very often, but when we did, it was definitely cool.
Yeah, I think they should have ran with it. I think it would have been pretty cool if they would have made a little storyline with it and just kept it going. But so anyways, so when we get towards the end, do they take you guys to a meeting, say, hey, look, man, we don't know if this is going to be the last season or not, but this is what's happening? Do they kind of just send you an email or whatever to let you know that everything's over? Or how was it the last day on Lucha Underground?
Well, as far as I know, they didn't tell me anything. They just said, we'll see you soon. And that was pretty much it. Other than that, until this day, I haven't received an email since. So, I'm just waiting like everybody else.
Yeah, that's same thing. Ricky Reyes and Ricky Mandel and all them said, but they said the same thing. It would have been nice to have a last season just so that everything could have had closure. They would have kind of shown what happened to everybody and all that. And I think they should, because whenever I had you guys on, I get emails and messages saying that they want that too. So we would look forward to that. I mean, that would be cool if they would do that. But anyway, so you guys moved on from there. I want to talk a little bit about Lucha, about the 2 Lucha Expos, both of them, because the one in Vegas, I actually had you on my other show over there, live interview. And then the second one that was in San Diego, we talk about dance partners. And I thought the match against the Phoenix Star and Zokri was super awesome. So I want to talk about that. Can you hang on the line for just 1 minute, Little Cholo?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, we'll be right back in just 2 minutes. Hang on.
Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
If you're listening to this and you haven't visited luchacentral.com, it's time to do it. luchacentral.com is the online home for Lucha Libre, where you can get all of the top news in English and in Spanish. Find the best curated video content and original content not seen anywhere else. Find when Lucha Libre events would be happening in your area. Find photo galleries from top photographers covering Lucha Libre around the world. From weekly polls to annual awards. Seen and read by top executives in all of the major Lucha Libre promotions across the globe. And on top of that, it's free. LuchaCentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.
You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, WrestleBoss with Bobby Chulo.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Kicking it with Little Cholo and, of course, Nicolette Marie hanging with me. Little Cholo, I got to tell you, man, the 2 Lucha Expos that happened unfortunately, with this COVID, it was going to be in Philadelphia, and they had to, cancel it or postpone it till next year because of all this. But the first one was pretty cool because everybody was kind of getting, it was the first one. Everybody was getting acclimated. They had some cool matches. You guys got to do a few matches, which was really cool. But the second one, I got to tell you, man, and we were talking about this in the open, Nicolette Marie and I, we talk about good dance partners. When I heard, where I saw, for the people listening to us, when they get there kind of early. They got to set up their table so they can sell their merch and all that. First of all, Jessica, or Nicolette Marie, can you tell Lil Cholo about Mariachi Loco and the coffee?
Sure. Cholo, first off, I want to tell you hello, and I want to tell you...
Speak right into the mic, Nicolette.
Sorry. Cholo, I want to tell you hi, first off. I haven't seen you in like a super long time.
Hey, how are you?
And when you were talking about Orange County, that was your home, that was the video that I posted of you when I heard you were going to be on here. I went to go see you wrestle for Orange County Championship Wrestling. You were wrestling Amazing Junior, and I happened to just get that moment on clip when you won the match, and you were like, I got to wrestle in front of Mi Familia in Orange County.
Yeah, that's so dope. I usually don't get the opportunity to wrestle very much at home, in Orange County that much, so... when I have the chance to, I really love to perform, definitely in front of my familia and, the fans from around here.
Yeah, and it was a very good match. Unfortunately, Fabi didn't get to see it, but I have it on video, so I will show it to him after this show. But, yeah, we remember you guys were downstairs, and you guys had Fred Gabriel at your table. You had Mariachi, and there was a third person. I know Amazing Junior came to come visit you, and his brother, OG Playboy. And I don't know if you were a part of it, too, but everybody sent Fred to go get coffee from McDonald's. And so Fred walked, and Fred carried it back, and we see Mariachi get his coffee, and he looks at Fred, and he goes, too sweet. And Fred looks back at him, and Fred's like, what, okay? And then I'm, looking down, Fabi, he won't let it go. He's like, too sweet, man. And I just, turned around because I'm like, I'm going to start laughing, and they're going to see me. So I don't even know. Can you tell us more about, what happened with the coffee run? Was it Fred's fault? Was it McDonald's fault?
He was, yelling at him across the room. It's too sweet. It's too sweet. And Fred's like, well, what do you want me to do? And Cholo was just right in the middle. But he ended up drinking the coffee anyways. Little Cholo.
Mariachi. He's a character, man. You see, you got good, kind people like Fred Gabriel who wanted to go out there and get him coffee. Do him a favor. And what does he do? He complains. He complains about everything. And that's pretty much why our tag team. Is not like any other, We have that love-hate relationship. He loves me and I hate him, So that's what the Lucha homies are. And it in the end it works out sometimes. Not all the time, but most of the time. But Mariachi he's a character for sure.
Cholo, speaking of Mariachi needing drinks, I noticed that you guys put a little clip up on your Instagrams about he needed what was it? Electrolytes, and you guys did something with Juventud?
Yeah, he said that he was tired of drinking water, so I was like, well, why not drink something with electrolytes? And he didn't know what that was, so I'm like, how about some juice? And he's like, whatever, just bring me whatever. So I brought him the juice, and which happened to be Juventud Guerrera.
And did it help him out?
I try to help him out, and this is what I get.
He has to be. Hey, well, let me tell you something. At that Lucha Expo, my live broadcast stuff was upstairs. I was the only one upstairs. But Fred Gabriel came up. He came on the show, and he put you guys both over big time because he said he really didn't start getting what he wanted to do until he started training with you guys.
He actually put me over, huh? Because you know what's kind of funny is that he's actually sitting next to me right now.
Oh my God! Tell him we said hi.
Well, that's good. And tell him we don't worry about the coffee.
Fabi and Nicolette say hello. Oh, hello. So he just said hello.
But you know what the funniest part is the pictures that are from there. When we had Fred Gabriel on, for some reason we had the same black shirt on, and he has a beard and short hair, and everybody was like, it looked like you were interviewing your double or your twin or whatever they say. You guys should tag team and be together because you look so much alike. So that's what everybody got out of there. But anyways, speaking of that and wrestling against the Phoenix Star and Zokari, I thought it was a 5-star match. I thought it was probably the best match out there. So now when you say you go to you know what? Actually, after that, you went to go work for DJ Boss, and I saw that, and I said, man, they're just continuing to move up and move up. So first of all, tell us how it was working for DJ Boss out there, and then we'll go from there.
Man, working for DJ Voss was dope. I really enjoy working for him. He's definitely a 5-star promoter for sure. He takes care of us. He flew us in. He put us up real nice. He knows how to take care of his talent really well. So I would like to go there and work there anytime.
Yeah, who'd you guys wrestle out there?
We wrestled Chaos and Vadi Morales, who's the guy out of Atlanta. He wrestles up there, Mucha Lucha Atlanta.
Yes, I saw a clip from that, and when I saw that, I was like, man, yeah, that's gonna be a good match because DJ Voss is real smart about when he was on the show, he said the same thing. Like, I'll see these guys and go, man, if I put these guys against these guys, it's gonna be a match or whatever. So I knew once you guys went out there, it was gonna be a good match because he knows how to match them up. So now the future. With this COVID-19, nobody's had any shows, nobody's been working. So as of right now, has any promoters or anybody been getting a hold of you and saying, hey, look, man, we have COVID-19, but, we're working on a show for, I don't know, September or anything, or has everything just been strictly put on hold?
This whole situation, I've already lost out on 33 bookings so far that I've had booked this entire year.
Oh, no.
And, it's crazy. I don't know what else to say. It's just the situation is tough.
Well, since that, then I read that you and Mariachi were doing some training at Delo Jiu-Jitsu on Fridays. So is that still going? Because now they've said that they're going to scale back and start shutting the gyms down. But I think Orange County is on a different level. So as of now, are you still able to train on Fridays, or what's going on with that?
So basically, with everything that's going on right now, everything, I guess, got put on hold again because of the whole, I guess, another lockdown situation. But, I don't know how long it's going to be. We were on a roll. We had started training about a month ago. So, everybody was getting their groove back, and everybody's, trying to work on their conditioning because we haven't been in the ring since March. So everything was going well, and once again, everything gets shut down. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen and for how long? But if anybody is interested, when everything is allowed to open up again, they should definitely stop by and hit up a class for sure.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's good training because, when Nicolette started training and I was trying to work with her, it's when it's a father-daughter type of thing, it's kind of hard because I don't want to be too hard on her, but I don't want to be too easy or whatever. So Mariachi happened to be there one day. I said, hey, look, man, can you help her work on her rolls? And I was like, yeah, sure. Bam. We just started getting the rolls down and everything. So I was like, man, if they do open up, if she's going to go train, it's better for me to send her over there to train than with me because it's a little bit, easier or whatever. So we definitely look forward to that coming up. I saw a couple of pictures from the class. Even Paul London was out there helping you out the other night,
Yeah, Paul stopped by, and we had another. I don't know if you remember him, El Infernal. He is Martin's nephew. He stopped by, and he spread some knowledge on the class, and it was just pretty cool. Paul hadn't been around in a while, and it was just good to have him stop by and tell some stories and help the guys out with a little bit of psychology and stuff like that. Definitely. Paul's a part of the family, so he's definitely welcome anytime.
Absolutely. Well, we look forward to it, man. I think it's going to be, they're going to shut it down, and then within 3 weeks or so, they're going to bring it back, and we'll be moving again. So I'm praying, man. I'm hoping, because I got to tell you, even though I'm like semi-retired, it's been 4 months. I haven't been able to go to a show, check out nothing. So we definitely hope that everything's going to pass. So for the people listeners, stay with Junior Cholo on his social media. He'll keep everybody posted. Hopefully they'll be back to training pretty soon. That's some good training, so make sure you check it out. Nicolette, anything before we let Little Cholo get out of here?
Cholo, just definitely keep us updated when training reopens and when your next match is going to be.
Oh, for sure. You should stop by. Tell your pops to bring you down, or you come down on your own and check out a class and see what you think, and be glad to show you a thing or two even your pops that I learned from your pops from back in the day. But,
maybe
for sure.
Maybe with Nicolette Marie, you can work on the power bomb on the cement. What do you think?
I think no.
We're gonna have to try that on you, bro.
You gotta practice what you preach. But anyways, for the people listeners, make sure you check out it's Junior Cholo. You just put that in your little search engine. He keeps everybody up to date on there, so we can check out when he goes back to getting his bookings and of course the lucha training. Hey, Little Cholo, best of luck to you, my friend. Hopefully we'll see you soon over there in Orange County. Okay.
Please, man, yeah, and if I can really quick, just follow any of my social media, like Dan Favi said, Junior Cholo on Facebook, Little Cholo01 on Instagram, and I'd really, really, really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Little Cholo1503, where you can check out a bunch of matches of myself, the Lucha Homies, and bunch of other stuff. So check it out, and thanks, Favi. Really appreciate it.
1503. Absolutely, man. We definitely look forward to it. So for the people listening, I'll make sure I put that up on my social media and talk about it at the end of the show. Hey, Little Cholo, a million thank yous for coming on. Unfortunately, we're running up against the clock, but we'll definitely keep everything, hopes up and everything, and hopefully everything will get back to normal as soon as possible because people need lucha in their life. Little Cholo, everybody, we'll be right back after this.
If you're listening to this and you haven't visited luchacentral.com, it's time to do it. luchacentral.com is the online home for Lucha Libre, where you can get all of the top news in English and in Spanish. Find the best curated video content and original content not seen anywhere else. Find when Lucha Libre events would be happening in your area. Find photo galleries from top photographers covering Lucha Libre around the world. From weekly polls to annual awards. Seen and read by top executives in all of the major Lucha Libre promotions across the globe. And on top of that, it's free. LuchaCentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.
I think we're back on the air, Favi.
Not yet.
No? Okay.
Yeah, that was just a tad bit low on there, so hopefully we'll be able to get that a little bit louder once we get everything going. So for the people listening to us, you're here. You're at WrestleBoss with Favi Chuno. Just got finished talking to Little Cholo, talking a little bit about, everybody, Nicolette Marie asked about Lucha Underground, and it kind of sucks because they didn't get to have any closure or whatever on that. Everybody that we've had on, from Ricky Reyes, who was, Mr. Cisco was Little Cholo, but Ricky Mandel and all those guys, they said the same thing. They said it just would have been nice to have closure because, especially for Ricky Mandel, he was doing the little Johnny Mundo gimmick and stuff like that. So I want to talk a little bit about that too, because I want to talk when we get some time later about Taya. I was telling you how, this, talking stuff over the internet that some guy wrote on here that she was too heavy and what happened to her and all that. But of course, she put him in his place real quick. So I'm not worried about her, because Huera Loca, you don't mess with. Hey, let me tell you something. We saw her in person over at the Inoki Dojo show, and she wrestled with two local girls against Fabi Apache and two other girls. And I mean, they put on the show. Taya Valkyrie and Fabi Apache made it look like, what's the word I'm looking for, Nicolette? Men and working with boys.
Oh, boys.
Because they stood out so much. They didn't even really need the other two girls. Me personally, I think it should have just been Taya Valkyrie against Fabi Apache. Would you agree?
Oh, I could totally see that. Yeah, that's probably more of like a, probably like the Crash match, right?
Yes.
Probably like out there,
yes. Yeah, that would have been. But they were just on another level. I mean, just on a huge different level. That was the second or third time that we've seen Taya Valkyrie wrestle live. And
right.
Even at the Lucha Expo, they put her against, what's his name, with the lollipop in the pants.
Oh, Joey Ryan.
Yeah,
and I think even at the Expo before that, didn't she was on the opposite team of Demus. Demus was on the other side.
Yeah, she was. That was at the first, and they put on a show. That was at the first Lucha Expo.
And you know what was so awesome about that last show we saw at Inoki? Her humbleness. This girl pulled up and she got out of her Uber. Her Uber driver stayed in the car, and they popped the trunk for her, and she had to get out her own luggage. She waved to the crowd, rolled it in, started getting ready.
Yeah. She took an Uber up there and was walking right through the crowd, but still put on the show. Has absolutely nothing. You know, if you don't have a little bit of haterism in your game, you're not doing something right. But when I wrote back to her, I wrote, people do that. Like I use the example, people hate John Cena because they want to be John Cena, and it's the same with Taya Valkyrie. They do haterism on her because they want to be like, or they wish they were Johnny Morrison and that was, you know, their wife or whatever. That's why they do stuff like that. But let's switch some gears real quick and give Chris Brown a call. Talk a little bit about they actually changed his opponent on him with 4 days notice. So there's a lot of that going on.
Hello?
Hey, Chris Brown, it's Fabiano. You're live on the radio. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hey, how's it going?
It's good. It's going good. Real quick for the people listeners, you're here. You're at WrestleBoss with Fabi Chulo. We're going to be talking to Chris Brown in just a second. And on the line with me, also Nicolette Marie. Nicolette Marie, real quick, say hi to Chris Brown.
Hey, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much.
You know, it's funny because, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about LFA because they switched opponents from what I hear at the last minute. But I was talking at the opening, Nicolette Marie and I were talking about the King of the Cage days. And when I started working for King of the Cage, they for lack of a better term, they saw a little bit of maturity, I want to say. So they kind of said, well, look, we would like you to start renting the 12-passenger van, making sure that the cameramen, have all the equipment that they need in the van, and you get them to the venue, make sure you get them, back to the airport early because they got to be. I'm like, absolutely. So when I started doing that, June, who was one of the cameramen, we were coming back from Albuquerque and we saw Chris Brown at the airport. And he's saying, man, this guy can go, man. He goes, this guy's a fighter. He can go. And I'm like, oh, yeah, so we're talking. And I didn't see Chris Brown for a while after that. But then maybe it was a few months after that, we had a show in Albuquerque.
Right.
And it was in the at the Embassy Suites. So I'm going to tell the story real quick, Chris Brown, because I'm pretty sure you weren't aware of it. But everybody from Jackson Wink came. They came to see Chris Brown. John Jones, Diego Sanchez, everybody wanted to come and see his fight. So anyways, the first announcement that I have to make is there's no video, there's no still flash photography or whatever, or you will be asked to leave, blah, 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 whatever, right? So Chris Brown, we're doing his fight was coming up next. So John Jones was about in the third or fourth row. He stands up. I'm getting ready to announce Chris Brown, and he pulls his phone out, and he starts taping. So I make the announcements. I do everything. I get out of the cage. The promoter, John Judy, comes and goes, hey, man, we're going to go tell John Jones to put that phone down right now. And I said, I'm not going to tell him. I go, you tell him. And he goes, you're the announcer. You tell him. And I go, you're the promoter. You tell him. And he goes, forget it. And he filmed the whole thing. Nobody said, and he was standing, too. It was in the third row, so he had to be. But nobody said one word about that or whatever. But on that show, going back to that real quick before we continue on, I went and made the announcements, and that was a fight, and that was a knockdown 3-round drag out fight. I mean, it was back and forth, and they made Chris work. He was hitting with uppercuts, and but the guy was tough. So after the fight, John Winklejohn comes up to me and he said, man, that kid made Chris work. And I said, yeah. I said, but he got the decision. She said, yeah, but fights like that are good for him because it keeps him on his game and it keeps him knowing that, I got to stay in shape and I got to be ready because you never know who you're going to fight. Do you remember that at all, that fight, Chris?
Yeah, that fight. I almost died after that fight.
Oh, no.
I was so dehydrated when because I was supposed to go back in the back and take the drug test, and on the way in the back, like, I basically collapsed. I was laid out on the floor, like, I was, like, throwing up. They had to come give me IVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that day.
But like he said, it was it was good for you because it made you, pushed you to the limit, and you passed with flying colors. So that's I never forgot that because I thought, yeah, man, he had to work and to get that victory. And Winklejohn was saying, yeah, it's good for him. So then you just steadily progressed from there. So when I announced that I was going to put you on, I always read the emails and the messages and stuff like that. And somebody sent me an email, and it said, when you have somebody like Chris Brown on, he's smart. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, to up his game, if he's going to train at Jackson Winklejohn, the people that they have there, in other words, iron sharpens iron, and that's why he's getting up there. Now, of course, when you're working out over there, you're going to have good sparring and stuff like that. But for the people listening to us on WrestleBoss, tell us a little bit about that. I mean, talking about being challenged and up in your game, it's got to be every day for you over there, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like all the people that I've trained with, like when I first joined the gym, I was like kind of starstruck because my favorite fighters that I grew up watching were right there in the gym. Like I remember the first time I walked in the gym and saw Andre Arlovsky, like he was my all-time favorite heavyweight. So I used to watch him in high school. So the first time I walked in and I seen him, and I was like, man, this dude's scary. Like, it's like he doesn't seem like he's approachable. But, he's got a great heart, like, which you actually, get to know him a little bit, and then I got to spar with him and stuff like that. That was true. Like, he hurt me one day because his big ass fell on me when we were grappling. Because people don't realize when I first got to the gym, I was fighting at like 185, but then I started cutting down because Derek Brunson was like, nah, you need to go down to 170. And then I went down to 170, and Wink's like, I want you to be a 55er. So I was killing myself to get down to 55 because I walked around, now I walk around about 190. Okay. And so it was just, going in there, like, especially they just threw me right in when Cowboy was still at the gym. I was getting thrown into camps with him and Sheldon Westcott and Kyle Noak. Like, I was spending time with all these, these UFC fighters that I had been watching. And, he threw me right in the mix. So it was constantly having to evolve, like, going from getting beat up to beating people up. Just that constant, like, just throwing right in the fire, that iron sharpens iron, because I had to adapt and get better. Or because I didn't want to, I'm too competitive to let myself get beat up all the time. So it was just grinding to, I could get up there with those guys.
Yeah, you have no choice but to up your game, because if not, you're gonna get laid out. But something else that was interesting that we've been finding out, because with the UFC, since they had been fighting at the Performance Center, the ring was shortened like by about 5 feet. And to me, it seemed like it was a different fight, man. It's like you have nowhere to run or nowhere to hide. But on the show, I was telling people, especially that one, we had different cages. So we had a big cage when we do like the big arenas. But the cage for like the Embassy Suites, that's the small cage. There
nowhere
is
to run.
there is
you back up, you're against the cage.
You turn around and they're right there, so you have no choice. So, being in a small cage like that, tell us about that. It does make a difference, right?
Just because you constantly have to engage, because there isn't anywhere for you to move around. Like I said, you take a couple steps back, you're against the cage. So it forces you to keep the action going, trying to keep that middle. You have to be aware of where you are, because fighting's always like being, having spatial awareness, but it's even like more important there, because certain techniques can only be used in certain areas of the ring. So you have to be cognizant of where you're at all times. And so it's like constant action, constant pressure. Like, you're not going to have too many like slow fights of people just moving around. Like, they have to engage.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen many of fights in that small cage, and I've seen many of fights in the big cage. And man, some of them I'm just like, man, there is nowhere to turn around and run. You're right there, and it makes for good fights. I mean, I've seen some fights that were just unbelievable, and I think that makes a big difference. But anyways, Chris has since moved on. But real quick for the people listeners, you're here. You're at WrestleBoss with Fabi Chulo. I got Nicolette Marie with me, and we're talking to Chris Brown. Chris Brown, big fight coming up for LFA. It's LFA 85. It's July 17th. It's in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's going to be live on Fight Pass, which is kind of cool. We had Ed Soares on here, and we talked about that because me personally, I liked when it was on Access because I was like, hey, this gives these guys some exposure. You could turn that TV on Fridays, and it gives them a lot of exposure. They don't have to buy a pay-per-view or whatever. They're just there. He said, yeah, but when we moved to Fight Pass, that's got the notoriety of the UFC, and people, they're like, dude, I'm going to watch this on Fight Pass or whatever. So that's what we were working for. Since I've been doing this and starting this since the beginning, we're going on like almost 17 years now, because I see from the perspective of you guys, because like we talk a lot about, they just see the finished product. But when I started working for King of the Cage, I see those guys come in on weigh-in days, and they're trying to cut those last 2 pounds. And then if this guy doesn't make it, they got to talk to him and they got to redo the contracts. And then this guy might have to wait another hour. I mean, it's just a lot that goes into it. You don't just sign a waiver and get in that cage. So that's what we've been trying to do, is get the exposure so that place can get packed, so that you guys can get paid, because we see it from that standpoint. So now moving to LFA. And, going to be on Fight Pass, going to be some great exposure and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, just like Ed Soares contact your managers and say, hey, we got a fight for you, or how did you get involved with LFA?
This will be my third fight for LFA that I actually showed up for. Before I got on there, the first fight when I fought, I think it's when I fought that Odewall in Atlanta. It took them like a year to match me because my manager had been talking to them for about a year at that point, and like it just could never, come to fruition because if follow my career, like people don't want to fight me, so it was just so hard for them to get somebody because they have been trying to get me like to fight in Arizona and Michigan. They were trying to get me to fight in Atlantic City. They were trying to fight all over in Nebraska, all over the country, wherever they were having cars. They were trying to get me a fight because they wanted me on there, but they could never. Odewall was the first person that actually stepped up and took the fight because he was having trouble getting fights. So it was great exposure, because at first they were on Access. The first fight we had was on Access TV over there. So that was great exposure. Anybody could tune in. Like, it was open to everybody. But moving over to Fight Pass, it's not as accessible, but you getting looks at from, the UFC brass. The top people are actually looking at this. So, that does just put you in a whole different, pool. So I was very thankful for that one. It was very, big difference.
Yeah, I'm not buying the ESPN because I have so many and I pay so much in cable, but the UFC Fight Pass for sure. Because not only do they have LFA and they have the fights, they have like the jiu-jitsu tournaments and, stuff like that. So there's a lot on there. So I think a lot of people do buy that a lot more. So that's definitely cool. I mean, you're definitely going to be getting the exposure that you need there. Now, so what happened? I just read as I was getting ready to go on the air that your opponent pulled out. So they actually found another opponent for you on 4 days notice?
On 4 days notice. So basically on Sunday night, one of my friends who's a reporter, he was getting ready to do a write-up for Fight Book MMA. And he calls me, and he sends me a message on Facebook like, "Hey, what's up with your fight?" But he had spelled fight wrong. I was like, "What's up with your right?" or something like that. And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Your fight." I'm like, "What about my fight?" He's like, "It's canceled." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So he sends me the a picture of the cancellation on Tapology, and I was like, whoa, this is the first time I've heard of this. So I was like, well, let me call my manager real quick. So I called my manager, and he's like, yeah, I didn't want to tell you, but yeah, the guy pulled out already. But LFA, they're looking for a replacement because they're saying that it's a priority that they have to match me because I guess they have a certain number of fights that they're supposed to have on the card,
right,
with their contract. So they had to find a replacement, or it was going to throw off their stuff. So they, so Sunday night, that's what we were talking about. He was like, "All right, I'm gonna call you tomorrow." He's like, "I'm calling them, I'll let you know." So I woke up the next morning and I got up and I went for a run. And when I got back from my run, I found out that they had found a replacement. So I was just like, "Oh man." Like, cause usually that's not how it goes down. Like in my career, I'm used to people always pulling out. They pull out at the weigh-ins. They pull out days before. Like I'm so used to it at this point. So I was very excited to actually not have to waste this training camp, and we're able to find someone to come and step up.
Yeah, and so it's Ignacio Bajamontes that stepped up to fight you. Now, are you familiar with this guy at all, or just is the first you're hearing of him, or?
It was the first I'd ever heard of him, so but when my manager, I didn't look him up or anything. All my manager did was send me a picture of him, and I was like, awesome. That's all I said. I was like, cool. He's like, this is our guy. He sends me the picture. I'm like, cool. I was like, that's all I needed to know is that they got someone to show up. So,
but
I didn't need them.
It's funny that you say that because there's so much time at the weigh-ins and everybody's just talking and just hanging out or whatever. And I was talking to John Judy, who was the matchmaker for King of the Cage back there, and he said, the guys nowadays, they don't watch so much film and do, this guy's a jiu-jitsu guy, so he goes, they worry about themselves. They stay in shape. They work all facets of the game. He goes, because a lot of guys can get called for a title fight with a week's notice or a few days' notice. He goes, so everybody, nowadays they're training, they're working everything, they're staying in shape, they're staying, as close to weight as possible, so they don't have to cut a lot. So to me, that's what I'm talking about. Because see, look at just like that. I mean, I've seen, especially at King of the Cage, guys get title shots with 4 days' notice or whatever. So like we were talking about, it would behoove them to stay in shape. So that's why we're talking to Chris Brown, because he's training, he's ready, and since that's happened to him quite a few times, you've got to keep yourself in shape and be ready at all times, right, Chris?
Right, exactly, and that's why they didn't even want to tell me that the guy had pulled out, because they're like, Wink, especially Wink, him and my manager, they conspire against me. They don't tell me nothing unless it's a lie, unless they have to tell me. Because Wink's, I was like, yeah, he didn't tell me. And Wink's like, yeah, I know. I didn't want you to go have a beer or nothing. So we just want you to believe that the fight's still going. Because they like to trick me. Like Coach Wink is like, he always lies to me about what time something is. He's like, oh, show up at this, like whenever we have like fights, the press conferences and stuff. He'll lie to me about what time it is. So I show up early.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's smart. Well,
because he knows how I am.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy that you're in the LFA now, that you're moving up, and Chris is one of the guys that's always training and very hungry to get to that next level. So for the people listeners, don't forget, check it out. It's going to be on Fight Pass. It's LFA 85. It's this Saturday, July 17th. It's going to be
Friday,
Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Is that Friday?
Friday.
Yeah, you're right.
Friday night.
So it's Friday, July 17th. So make sure you check it out. He's going to be fighting Ignacio Bajamontes. Hey, man, best of luck to you for sure. Hopefully, I'm going to get down to Albuquerque once all this COVID stuff is over, because I love John Judy and working out there. I've been everywhere with King of the Cage. But
yeah, John Judy's good people. I talked to him the other day.
Well, he's smart because, they were saying, they have this big rivalry with Fit NHB and Wink John, and John Judy would tell me, I don't even listen to that. He goes, because I don't care where you're from. If you're a good fighter, I'm going to put you with this guy and make.
Yeah, and he's really good about that.
Yeah, exactly. And I
speak with
days,
everybody,
man.
but he's always been like try to be neutral about it. And
Absolutely.
me and him have a great relationship because he put me on a lot of those King of the Cage. Those were how I was getting my first opportunities to get exposure. And we were both wrestlers, so we had that connection, and he's always showed me love, and he continues to show me love.
Yeah, and he knows that if you're a good fighter, he don't care where you're from. He's going to put you because it's going to make a good fight. So, anyways, Chris, the best of luck to you, my friend. For the people listening, make sure you check it out. It's Friday the 17th. It's going to be on UFC Fight Pass. I'm going to check it out for sure, and hopefully we can have Chris back on talk a little bit about that. So, Chris, good luck to you, my friend, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Yeah, good
all right,
luck, Chris. We look forward to your fight.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Chris Brown, everybody, make sure you check out the fight. We'll be right back.
Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
If you're listening to this and you haven't visited luchacentral.com, it's time to do it. luchacentral.com is the online home for Lucha Libre, where you can get all of the top news in English and in Spanish. Find the best curated video content and original content not seen anywhere else. Find when Lucha Libre events would be happening in your area. Find photo galleries from top photographers covering Lucha Libre around the world. From weekly polls to annual awards. Seen and read by top executives in all of the major Lucha Libre promotions across the globe. And on top of that, it's free. LuchaCentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.
You are listening to the Lucha Central Podcast Network. And now, WrestleBoss with Bobby Chulo.
I think it was Jim Stranger that was trying to call in because he wanted to talk a little bit about wrestling. But if you're still out there, man, you can call back. I'm sorry, I didn't pick it up because we were talking, to Chris, and he was on a roll, man. You could, Nicolette Marie, can you tell how hungry that dude is?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I don't know. Have I ever seen him fight before?
I don't think so because the two times that I've seen him fight, it's been for King of the Cage, and I've went out there. He hasn't fought out here because usually they do them in Ontario when they have the big fights. So I don't think they brought him out and then he's just moving, so fast, that he went straight to LFA after that. And like he said, he's had a hard time trying to get fights. People don't want to fight him or they'll back out at the last minute or, what, because that's happened before. Right,
I've seen that. Oh, yeah.
I've seen guys go to weigh-ins and see their opponent and go, I'm not fighting. And they leave. So, with King of the Cage, they would book up to 22. I've seen as many as 22 fights booked, and I've seen them go down to almost 7, depending on what's happened at the weigh-in. So that's what happens. Some people don't make weight. Some people, it's weird. They don't make the contract right, or they see their opponent and they leave. Because you've been with us many times to Las Vegas when we've had the fights out there, and I even tell when my wife and daughter would go, I'd say, okay, the weigh-ins are at 7 o'clock. Don't come down till about 7:30, quarter to 8. And they go, what? And I go, if we can get somebody on that scale by 7:30, I will be a happy man. And 9 times out of 10, 7:45, 8 o'clock, we start those weigh-ins because there's so much going on and getting everybody settled and with the commission and all that. It takes forever, right, Nicolette?
Oh, it does. Bobby, when he was talking about that Cowboy was training at the gym, is that Cowboy Cerrone?
Yeah, he used to train out of Jackson Wink until he who has the record for the most fight bonuses opened up his own place, and he actually called it the BMF Ranch or whatever.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's where they got the BMF belt from, but he moved out there, and it's like they were saying, Fit NHB where they're at, Jackson Winklejohn was way down the street or whatever, and they moved directly on the other block from NHB. So they said, it's a big rivalry in NHB versus Jackson Wink. And so when I asked John Judy that, he's like, no, man, I don't have no beef with – if you're a good fighter, I'm putting you on this show. And that's exactly what happened with Chris Brown. But at that fight, he got put to the test. This kid just kept coming, so Chris had to keep fighting, and that's why he was so dehydrated. He must have thrown easily over, I don't know, maybe 200 punches in that fight because he was just constantly punching. And then
and were
John
these
Winkle,
punches that landed?
Yeah, he was. The guy he fought was from the Mexican team that they bring over. I think from Juarez or something like that. Which again, that's why John Juice is so smart. I have a picture with those guys. I was so happy because they brought the whole team and they brought all the Mexican colors and everything. And I saw his opponent the next day at the hotel before we were getting ready to catch the shuttle. And he was, swollen and black eyes and everything, but he was the most happiest dude on earth. He was like, man, just to come out here and fight and stay at this nice hotel and go swim in the pool. He was like he could care less that he was, beat up but he put on a good fight. He put on a good show and gave the people their money's worth. So I haven't been back since then, but it was really John Judy is very smart as far as him and Arlene Sanchez is the boxing coach over there, and they know what to look for. So there was some really good knockdown, drag-out fights over there.
And so they are the matchmakers?
Well, John Judy is the promoter and the matchmaker, and Arlene Sanchez is the Tom Vaughn is the promoter, and John Judy is the matchmaker. Tom Vaughn, he's Tim Dirty Bird Means, who's fighting. Yeah, he's fighting, I believe, in August for UFC. That's his manager, and he's the promoter for King of the Cage out there. But they ended up moving Tom Vaughn to the whole, almost the East Coast promoting for King of the Cage. He has from Albuquerque all the way to Niagara Falls, New York. He covers all that territory.
Wow,
so
good for him.
He's always busy. Yeah. So, I unfortunately I haven't been working for them for a while, but when it was cool because stuff like that. I got to see Chris Brown, fight. I got to call Ronda Rousey's first pro fight at King of the Cage.
I remember.
You remember that? Nicolette Marie. For the people listening to us, I got called it was only my second job working for King of the Cage, and I got called, and I didn't even know who Ronda Rousey was. But Giovanni Varela, who we had on here, him and Gokor and all them were there, and I knew them from the radio show. And they said, hey, this girl is bad, man. I'm telling you. And I was like, oh. But Nicolette Marie, for the people listening to us on WrestleBoss, can you divulge? This is when I first took you and my wife to the weigh-ins, and the weigh-ins were the day before, and we were talking about, what goes on. So can you kind of tell the people a little bit what went on? She was going to fight Ileana Gomez. I'll never forget it. And they were fighting back and forth because Ileana was going to be 4 pounds overweight. Do you remember?
She was, yes. And it was going to be 4 pounds overweight due to a water weight issue, which for anybody knows is something that comes one time a month. And Ronda that's when, if you know Ronda now, she has that straight, resting face, and she was just so mad, and we thought that a fight was going to break out. So This was before, how Fabi was saying, he has to make that announcement where it's put your phones away and everything, so you could still take your phone out. So we kind of took our phones out, and we were kind of there's going to be a fight, because Ronda wasn't giving up. She was
you had
mad.
the slide phone back then, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And
but you're watering it down, because she came up to her with her manager and told Ronda, I can't fight, I can't lose any more weight, I'm on my period, I'm holding water. And Ronda stands up to, I'm on my period too, and that's no excuse. And they were in each other's face. So we were just looking at it and I turned around and Nicolette's taping with her little slide, and I was like, you better put that away. And she's like, what? So they went back and forth. So Ronda had to drink, there's 8 pounds to a gallon, so she had to drink a half a gallon of water to move up in weight, because the commission wasn't going to let them fight. So she was going to lose money, and so she got paid. She had to drink a half a gallon of water to come up in weight so that they would be even. So she got 20% of the other girl's check, and then she wiped her out in probably, it was about a minute and a half. She dug her hips and flipped her over, and she was done. That was in the valley. We were way out there in almost by Calabasas, way out there in the valley. But anyways, so that was the first taste of Nicolette Marie getting to see what happens at the weigh-ins, and it happened to be with Ronda. And back
what
then,
a great
she was
first experience.
Exactly. Talk about throwing you into the deep end. That's what happened, and it was pretty cool because Ronda was real cool with us. She came on my other show a couple of times, and when we had the shop in Vegas, she would come by, and we had her and Miesha Tate right before they fought for the belt. But the trend that I see, Nicolette Marie, before we talk a little wrestling before we get out of here, when they're hungry. And it's kind of like this with the pro wrestlers. I don't want to put anybody out there, but, guys like Brody King and all them, I understand because they're out there in Ring of Honor and stuff like that. And I call him all the time, say, hey, bro, let's get you on. He's like, oh, bro. But at least he's cool about it. He's like, oh, I got this going on and I don't know if I can or whatever. So it's kind of hard to get them. But at the beginning, she was very hungry. Ronda Rousey was one of the, when Maestro and I were doing the radio show for Tap Out, and then we moved over to Sinister, and then we moved over to On the Mat, we would say that the live broadcast is at 10 o'clock. If we got somebody there by 11, we would be happy. And what would happen was we'd only have till 12 o'clock, and they'd all bunch up at 11 o'clock. So we're trying to get them 15 minutes to get them out of there. Rhonda, when we got to the shop didn't open till 10. We got there at 9:40, and she was waiting for us. And she's like,
wow.
What's up, man? And I'm like, we're not used to people being here on time. She said, well, how long is it going to take you to set up? It's 15 minutes. I said, okay. So I think she was shopping for, they had those Affliction bikinis or stuff like that. So she's telling the owner, hey, I would like to say, oh, yeah, take whatever you want or whatever. And she's like, all right, cool. So luckily she was able to try on stuff while she waited for us to get set. And then she came on and she was real cool. I'll put up the picture, Nicolette, from when we had a Santa Claus all set up.
Yes, I remember. And didn't she used to bring her mom?
Yeah, well, her mom, we got separate. She did a judo seminar at Gracie Barra Corona. And I was talking to the people from there earlier, and that's where we met her mom. And awesome. She brought us a book that was signed by Rhonda. Real cool. She threw Sergio probably 2 or 3 times. I mean, she dug her hips in and it was awesome. So the point I'm trying to make is, at the beginning, they're hungry and they want to get out there. And she would always call in, and then once they get to a certain point, you don't hear from them anymore. But John Dello, my jiu-jitsu coach and the person that I trained with for quite some time, he always told me, he goes, dude, I'm telling you, you're going to catch him on the way down. You'll always catch him on the – and there's a few – I never thought I was going to get Tito Ortiz on the air because, he was always blowing me off and, he wanted X amount of dollars to come on. And when I was interviewing Jason Perillo, his boxing coach, Tito was there. And Tito was like, let me talk to him. And he got on the phone. And that was right before he fought Alberto Del Rio. And I was always talking stuff about you. Like, he's never going to come on. He's such a punk. And then he came out, Tito, how you doing, man? How are you? I was so nice to him. So anyways, we're talking a little bit about that. Nicolette, should I tell him the story about the signing that they did in Vegas when he was with Jenna Jameson?
Jenna Jameson, right? Yeah, that was at the Hooters Hotel and Casino, correct?
Yeah, because he used to have a Punishment Athletics store inside Hooters. So
yes, I remember that.
We came and did a live broadcast from there for Tap Out, and we never had to worry about guests for Tap Out because the people were asking us. We had a bunch of fighters on there. We had a great time. So we were going to wrap up. So the manager from Hooters comes up and says, hey, Tito and Jenna are going to do a signing here in about an hour. I go, yeah, I saw it out there. She said, well, why don't you wait? We'll get him on here. I said, he's not going to come on. And she goes, well, look, why don't you guys head over to the restaurant, eat, it's all on me, whatever you guys want to eat. So I was like, cool. So we went to eat. We sat there. By the time we finished eating, it was about maybe 45 minutes or so, and went back. The line went from the back of the shop all the way through the casino, looped around, went to the pool, and looped back around almost out the casino. It literally had to be, I would say, at least maybe 400 people or more. I'm taking a wild guess. Wow. It could have even been a lot more. And most of them had Jenna stuff with them.
Oh, yeah.
Because she was in her prime. But they did have some Tito stuff. So we go and we go back to our table and stuff, and we have all the setups. And he comes in. They came about maybe 20 minutes late. And he walks in, and the manager tells Tito, hey, Tito, the guys are here from the radio station. Can you do about 50 minutes? And he looked at us and just kept right on walking. Didn't even say anything, just kept right on walking. So we looked at it and said, we told you. He said, oh, okay. Well, we tried. So they ended up signing forever. I mean, there was a lot of people there, but no big deal. We shut down, or whatever, because we had got plenty. So that just, he wasn't even worried about promoting his product or whatever, because he was so hot back then. He just walked right by us. So the point I'm trying to make is, once he was fighting Alberto Del Rio, he was cool. He came on and talked about, weight cutting and all that stuff. So like Delo said, you'll get him. So that's just a little story right there that we did actually get him on or whatever. So Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But real quick for the people listeners, you're here. You're at Wrestle Boss with Fabi Chulo. We just got finished talking to Lil Cholo. We got finished talking to Chris Brown, his big fight coming up. We're talking a little bit about, some of the MMA fighters, Tito Ortiz and Ronda, when they're first coming up, how hungry they are and, want to get on and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll start – with this COVID-19 going around, Nicolette Marie, it's hard for me to get out, and because a lot of the dojos are shut down. Because what I do is I go over there and I'm like, hey man, we got a show. We'll promote your dojo. We'll promote your fights. And they're like, heck yeah, man. But since everything's closed down, it's hard for me to get over there.
Right,
so
I agree.
we're gonna work on that. We're gonna try to get them over there. But anyways, real quick before we get out of here, okay? The thing I'm looking to most forward to, and I didn't get a chance to ask Nicolette Marie what she thinks. Tomorrow, AEW is going to be on. They're promoting and they're talking Jon Moxley against Brian Cage, and that's going to be the big fight. That's cool. But for me, I'm looking forward to Cody Rhodes against what's his name again, Jessica or Nicolette?
Sony Kiss, correct?
Sony Kiss. I think that's going to be the sleeper. I didn't think Chris Jericho against Orange Cassidy was going to be any good, and that turned out to be the sleeper. I was surprised. So I'm going on record right now saying Sony Kiss against Cody Rhodes is going to be the sleeper for this show. I hope I'm not wrong because I don't want to be wrong, but I would much rather.
Is this the first time in history they're going to wrestle each other?
Yes,
in AEW history, yeah. Okay.
It is, and Sony Kiss came out in Lucha Underground a few times too,
I don't know. I'm kind of a little mixed up, and I don't know if they're the same person, but Exolicious, Saint Sinclair.
Right.
Yeah. Are those the same? Is that the same two people?
I believe so, because when I saw him at EWF, and I remember, albeit vaguely, mentioning something about Lucha Underground.
He was going to a party or something, right?
Yeah, that was a wild night all the way around.
Okay.
Because the way they were talking in that locker room, I mean, I can't even begin to talk about it on the air. But awesome wrestler, cool person, I think has a future. I think if done right, I think they can really, really make Sony Kiss just blossom into a heck of a wrestler. I think because when we talk about exoticos and stuff like that, there's a certain type. When you see like Rudy Gardenia and people like that in CMLL, they can wrestle. They can go. They have that exotico gimmick, but they can wrestle. And that's how this Sony Kiss is in AEW. He's got the exotico gimmick down, but he can go, man. He's got the moves like Jagger. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I highly doubt that Sony Kiss is going to go over on Cody Rhodes for the belt, but nonetheless, it's gonna be a show. It's
gonna be a good match. I agree.
And I am 99.9% positive that Brian Cage is going to take that belt from Jon Moxley. But when they gave him the FTW belt, I'm thinking, well, they might want to make a run with that. So I don't know, but we'll pose this question to Nicolette Marie. Would you rather see Jon Moxley hold that belt, or would you rather see Brian Cage?
Brian Cage.
Yeah, only because he can go. You know what I mean? He can work with the Lucha guys, and he can, although, right before he left WWE, they put Jon Moxley against Apollo Crews. And you can see in Moxley's eyes that he was just so overwhelmed. I mean, you could just, because, I guess he knew, I'm going over in this match. But, I mean, it was, like we were talking about Taya Valkyrie, it was like a man among boys. Apollo Crews was hitting him with drop kicks that were literally almost over his head. I mean, the way that guy moves, hitting him with moonsaults, and you could just see in Jon Moxley's face like, oh my God. And then boom, it was over. So since that day, I was like, man, this is Jon Moxley knows what's up. So.
Bobby, I know that later on you're going to speak about the whole Taya Valkyrie thing about how somebody body shamed her, and I recently read on Exolicious Twitter, he kind of posted like this note-size screenshot that I guess that people are picking on him because he's gay and he's going to wrestle Cody Rhodes. I didn't get to read the full story, but that's terrible though.
Yeah, just like the girl from Japan that ended up committing suicide, that's going to happen, because just like I said before, People are going to do that because they want to be in that position. You know what I mean? They want to be
title shot with Cody Rhodes.
Exactly. Yeah. I would die to wrestle Cody Rhodes on AEW. So that's where everybody wants to be. So of course that's what they have to pick on him about or whatever. But don't even listen to it, Sony Kiss. I think you're going to do well. There's always going to be haterism out there, so don't even pay attention to it. Why you're body shaming Taya Valkyrie is beyond me. There must be something wrong in your life. that you have to do that, because not only is she, okay, Nicolette Marie, we talk about paying dues. Nobody's paid more dues than Taya Valkyrie. She, you know, she lived in Mexico for so long. She worked with you know, all the guys from Tijuana that are good wrestlers, even the Rey Mysterio Sr., people like that. When you're committed that much to your craft, it you know, you're going to be good, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Do you remember when we went to the Lucha Expo and we were looking at the merch table and she had this photo of her just with like a completely bloody face, and we were like, this is interesting.
Yeah, that's the one I want. Well,
yeah.
For the people listening to us at the second Lucha that was in Lucha Expo that was in San Diego, I would say she had the second longest line. The Lucha Brothers, of course, they ended up doing them, I think, in the private or VIP section or whatever. But Taya Valkyrie, there was people waiting at her table for her to get there. And it took her a while to set up and all that. But she had a huge line. I think her line was probably anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and a half to wait. So I would say she had the second largest line, and then I would say Tessa Blanchard and Daga had the first. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. And it was so funny because Taya, I don't know if she brought it or if the Expo brought it or somebody gave it to her, but she was also taking photos with an Instax Mini, and she was like the only person that thought to do that.
Yeah, she was smart. And even though she had the longest line, I'm going to say Tessa Blanchard probably made the most money because people were buying 8 pictures at a time at $10 a piece. So they were putting out money for Tessa Blanchard. So
I think they even had her sign a belt.
Yeah. They you'd be surprised at the stuff people bring for them to sign or whatever. But she made money because people were buying her stuff in bulk, not just 1 or 2 here and there. So props to her for doing that. But anyways, Nicolette Marie, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I just want to say, you know, thanks for coming on and helping me out. It's good to talk wrestling. It's good to have Lil Cholo on because we all used to, you know, especially back in the day working for WPW, we always used to hang out and have a good time. Go ahead.
Can I plug something really quick too?
Yeah, go for it.
I know that this week too, because it was kind of hard to get me on the show. You needed a guest, and I was like, I'm super busy this week, but I'm going to definitely try to do it. And I was able to make it. The boys and I, everybody who does not know, I do manage High Risk. Recently, we all started working together. We're working on something. We unfortunately cannot talk about it, but remember, speaking of AEW, these 2 boys went to AEW. They were on episode Being the Elite, 198. Go check it out on YouTube. And Steve kind of gave a spoiler alert, which is on his Instagram. So if you guys can go to his Instagram and go follow it, he is at StephenHFS. And he's kind of giving like a sneak peek about like what we may be doing in the future. So if you guys go follow him, go check it out. Yeah,
and like I said, to the Young Bucks, if you would book the Lucha Homies against High Risk, that would be a heck of a match. So just putting it out there.
So the Lucha Homies did wrestle High Risk at AWS.
Oh, you're right.
And that was High Risk's debut for AWS.
Yeah, maybe we could find that and put that on the social media or whatever. It was pretty cool. They work well together, so I would like to see that maybe on a bigger scale or whatever. So for the people listening, hey, we got High Risk booked for our show. They're going to go in the main event against Julio Rodriguez and Ruben Iglesias. So as soon as we get the word, I know we got pushed back again. We're going to make it happen. It's going to be Slam. It's going to be in LA. It's going to be at a church that's got a perfect venue, plenty of parking and all that. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But unfortunately for me, you know, I always get to talking and I run up against the clock and I don't have much time. So for the people listeners, big thank you, of course, to Little Cholo for coming on. Make sure you check him out, Junior Cholo, on your social media. And, of course, Chris Brown. Good luck to him. Big fight coming up at LFA. I'm telling you, he's going to do well. He's going to keep moving up. He'll be in the UFC before you know it, especially with good training.
If you're listening to this and you haven't visited luchacentral.com, it's time to do it. luchacentral.com is the online home for Lucha Libre, where you can get all of the top news in English and in Spanish. Find the best curated video content and original content not seen anywhere else. Find when Lucha Libre events would be happening in your area. Find photo galleries from top photographers covering Lucha Libre around the world. From weekly polls to annual awards. Seen and read by top executives in all of the major Lucha Libre promotions across the globe. And on top of that, it's free. LuchaCentral.com, your centralized place for all things Lucha Libre.